Trial tappers are people that find hope, resilience, and post-traumatic growth after life's trials and traumas. Today, I want to explain to you a little bit more about the theory of post-traumatic growth. Sometimes it can be frustrating when a therapist uses the word post. What does post really mean? It just means after. When you look at the word post, the therapist will say post injury, post divorce, post illness, which just means after the injury, after the divorce, after the illness. So I don't know why they want to keep using this word, but that's the clinical word is post, after the trauma. Now let's talk about trauma. So what is traumatic? Now therapists will use a lot of different words when we explain traumatic, but let me explain it to you in this term. Usually, traumatic means something sudden or unexpected has happened to you. There's been some kind of perceived threat to your life. Maybe there's been some physical, emotional loss that's happened. Maybe some loss of sense of control. Maybe your whole belief system has maybe been changed. Something very traumatic, people would say. But it's not that simple. It can be broken down to other levels. Let me explain it this way. There's what therapists will call acute trauma, which means once. Okay, just one thing happened. Like you were in an auto accident, you got injured, you're involved in a natural disaster. One event that has maybe brought you to therapy because you're dealing with the trauma. So it's pretty simple. There's one acute trauma, one thing. Now, the next one we would say is maybe why you're coming to therapy is because this is a chronic trauma. This has been going on for a while. It's one thing, but it just keeps going on. Like you're involved in a domestic violence situation. It keeps happening, but it's the same event over a long period of time. Maybe some sexual abuse occurring or some bullying happening. So this is chronically happening till now you're coming to therapy. Now, it gets a little more complex. Called complex trauma is when you have a multiple things, right? Maybe you were involved in an accident. Maybe there was some kind of disaster. Maybe someone died. Maybe there was some bullying. Maybe there was some domestic violence. So it becomes complex. It's multiple things are kind of building up on you. So now you're coming to therapy for this. The interesting part about the theory of post-traumatic growth, it doesn't quite fit in the mold of every therapist. So yeah, it can be because of injury or death. It can become because of sexual assault or physical assaults or some kind of illness. But maybe divorce, maybe a relationship problem, maybe a career problem. It's basically what you define as traumatic. It's not what the therapist may define. It's why you're coming to therapy. What do you want? What are you feeling is traumatic? And I've had people come in say a divorce was very traumatic, right? The loss of a business was traumatic. Whatever you decide is traumatic, then it fits within the theory. Finally, the growth. When in the word post-traumatic growth, I'm going to figure out, well, what is that? It's this idea in the theory that we want to get away from the word disorder. So when people say it's post-traumatic stress disorder, we want you to reframe that. And we're trying to get away from the word disorder. And we're going to move into the growth, post-traumatic growth. So this is a quote from Richard Tedeschi, one of the founders of post-traumatic growth. And he said, "We emphasize that these survivors are human beings who are not disordered, that they have responded to terrible events in a human way. It's not what's wrong with them, it's what's happened to them. So we are trying to take that term disorder out of the equation and focus instead on what these people have learned from their experience and how it's changed them into people who have to face up to the fundamental existential questions of life and death." Isn't that a great change or reframe and just changing that one word? Well, there you go. The breakdown of the words of post-traumatic growth. In the next series of videos, I'm going to explain more about the theory. Well, what did you think about the breakdown there? If you liked it, please comment below what you've learned. It really helps if you share these videos with others, and if you can like it, that would even be greater for me. Look, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll share more in the next video. Thanks for watching.